Well, what kind of lawyer are you? What's up, AfterBuzzers? Tonight's episode was all about Seth. Plus, we'll get into some discussion themes, set secrets, and find out whose predictions are actually right on this show. This is the For the People After Show. Let's go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, I totally screwed that up. I'm so sorry. We had practiced like twice.
Right.
So sorry. Wow.
Didn't know which way to go. It reminds me of like, what was the Destiny Child video where they was in the different colors and they was doing all... Was that Say My Name? No. It was Say My Name.
Yeah, Say My Name.
Say My Name, where they was doing, and it was just like...
Oh, yes.
all of that.
That's what vibe I was on. I was like, oh, okay.
Right? Well, that's neither here nor there. What's up, everybody? We are back with the For the People After Show. This is Season 1, Episode 4.
Wow.
I am Keith Andre. The gangs are all here.
I am Tori Broussard.
Yes.
Hey, I'm Elle Marie.
And I'm Takira Shabrae.
Yes, everybody's in the building.
Full house tonight.
Right? How's everybody feeling?
Good.
Okay. For some reason, I don't know. I thought this was episode 5, but it was really episode 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was good because by 5, I wanted to do like another pulse check. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at this one, what did you guys think about the episode?
Best episode thus far.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Like, y'all don't think so?
I was here for... I needed a little more from Seth, but the other parts of the episode I did really enjoy. But I needed a little more from him.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's me too. I think Seth took me to like a good solid 8. Maybe, and I wanted him to just I wanted to feel him in my soul like I did Jay. And
Right.
Okay.
But
I
I
think
think I'll
that's
see
interesting.
it.
Yeah, for me, I'm with you, Toria. We're on the same side. Watching it, I thought like, oh, okay, we're there. Like this is where we kind of need to shift towards. One other question, and then we'll kind of jump into our episode breakdown. At this point, top of your head, who comes to mind as your favorite character? Has that changed or?
This is like we're on the same side.
I said Roger Gunn, I think. And he was here. Now he might be in the middle.
But you were crushing on Roger, right?
I was a little bit.
Okay,
so I
thought
think he's still a question mark.
Yeah.
But your girl Kate Littlejohn.
Yeah.
She is still my
Yeah, like she's loved it from the beginning, but I'm like she's gonna love me.
I'm jumping on that bandwagon with
I'm
you.
actually undecided. I feel like last week we talked all about Kate and I was here for her. But this week, I don't know. I kind of want to, I don't know how
I was
to
here for her even
gauge.
more this week.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well,
So what 2 are you in between if you're in this? Well,
nope, it
3.
ain't. But I just don't know who's gonna be my favorite. Because in my pocket, I feel like it's gonna overall end up being Leonard. Tonight, I kind of did like Seth, and then we mentioned before Jay. I really feel like his character has like a lot of room to breathe and do things. So.
That's
on
interesting.
The
I
fence.
see a
I'm
lot
not-
coming for Jay. I
Yeah.
think he's going to be my second favorite, I think.
Interesting.
I'm not sold on Seth 100%.
Yeah.
But I do like what we saw from him
Yeah.
on Tuesday. So
I agree. I'm with you.
I needed something from him, and he gave me a little something, so I'm gonna take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Leonard would be a second for me, but I need to see more of him.
Right.
Exactly.
Because he's so interesting. His character is very interesting. Like,
It is.
I need more.
I agree. I think one of the struggles for the show is just finding a way to kind of balance it out. Like even with this episode, I felt maybe we would have been better off not seeing everyone, just because in so many instances they were featured so little. So maybe let's just do the episode where we don't have to see everyone on every single
Yes,
episode.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Interesting.
Yeah. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into a bit of a breakdown.
Yeah.
I did this in no particular order. I was just like spewing like my thoughts and stuff. So I don't know if you guys have a person you want to start with. I do want Seth to go last since, you know, it was his,
That's fine.
it was his show.
It was his time to shine.
I would, I think someone new is Jill. She, we don't normally break her down.
Good.
But she was one that really stood out to me. If anything, I actually felt her more than I felt Seth in this one.
Oh my God.
And I
Okay.
loved, I loved her because she's normally very strong but understanding and very, kind of give you the chance, but she broke down a little bit. Like she was vulnerable this time.
Yeah, she definitely did. And we saw her role shift because she goes from being a teacher and a coach to like, listen, I'm in the game. Yeah. She was like, who's handled the murder? Nobody? Okay, I'll do it.
Right. Yeah.
And we got to see the connection that she had with the client. You know,
Chloe.
we learned that Chloe, thank you. We learned that she had a sister. So we did get to see her. She has. Exactly. And I feel that even from the pilot, the way that we saw Roger and Jill, I knew that, you know, they would be able to give us something. But I think this was the first time we really, like you said, Takira, got to see her like grit her teeth and get in there.
Is it safe to say that Jill might get attached to her clients a little bit? Emotionally attached?
I think so. I think that's what made her want to be a defender. Or, I mean,
defense attorney.
Defense attorney.
Yeah, especially this situation being that it was really close to whatever she was going through with her own sister.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of make me feel like I'm not sure if there was memory loss as well with her client, with Chloe. Because then a part of me started to think, like, is that her sister?
Right.
Like, just
some of the things I was like,
and even when she got to the platform, it's like, is this your sister?
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then we learned about it after the fact. I do think it's safe to say that she gets attached, which was interesting to see. And I think we get to see how similar, like, Sandra is going to be to her as well. Like, they have this same kind of mission, take on the world and get the feels for everybody. So I was a little bit shocked because we've seen her before able to separate it. Like last week she was telling Allison, you know, like, okay, you got 10 more seconds and then what are you going to do?
And it's interesting that you brought that up because I asked the question because I naturally felt that because she is getting attached, I'm waiting to see when she breaks and when she falls. And if that's something we can see this season.
And if she might even lose her job.
Okay, well, come on through. We'll get to predictions, y'all.
Save that part.
Just wait, it's coming a little later.
I do want to end on Jill's monologue, like towards the end. I don't know if you guys remember, but it's when she was like really talking about her sister. She was standing in the doorway with Sandra, and Sandra was like, "Where is your sister?" And she was like, "I don't know." Like she gave such a heartfelt monologue, and I think seeing the tears in her eyes and seeing the tears in Sandra's eyes, I just put, "Yes, Jill monologue."
Come through. I don't expect anything less from Jill. I mean, Hope Davis is award-winning actress. Like she's a standout on the show. So I figured that she was going to get her justice.
Definitely.
For sure. We also got to see some nice moments from Chrisman with the wheel. You know, we got to learn about her history and her attachment to it and her role. So
that was interesting because when I was watching it and then, you know, the will broke and then she took it to the judge, I feel dumb again. I talked about this a little bit in Grey's Anatomy because I feel like I should have caught on to, like, obviously there's some attachment, but, like, why is there an attachment to the wheel? But now it all makes sense.
I thought that was good. I mean, she's another... That lady can do no wrong. I'm not even going to go down her resume. But I thought it was really nice to see that and to see, because like I said earlier, their struggle is going to be maintaining or bringing everybody in. But I'm glad that there's enough space for some other characters kind of to get their insight and to see their lives as well. And then when we get into discussions, we'll talk about, I think a reoccurring theme is like the digital world versus analog. This is the second week we've seen that type of thing. So we also got to see our other characters. I mean, Jay and Leonard weren't used very much. I don't know if you guys had any standout moments for them, because I didn't.
The lip bite and the jaw crunch during the conversation with Kate.
Yes.
That's all I had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. At the end when she invited, is that what you're talking about? I caught that.
That's well, let's throw Kate in the mix too, because I will say about, not to jump into predictions, but it'll be interesting to see how they play out, because we saw Kate, who is the soundboard for everybody.
I'm going to hold my containment, but I'm just
She is the voice of reason. She's helping everyone out, but we did get to see old boy had tried to ask her on a date, and Leonard was like, hello, what are you doing?
What you gonna do?
And she's like, I don't want to be caught. And I'm like,
Which,
okay.
thank you.
That line.
But
Thank you.
But you know what? I'm thinking that maybe that's a turn off for men, because after that, she tried to come back and invite Leonard out, and he was like, I'm working. I'm not interested.
Or he appreciated it and caught the hint. And I mean, Leonard, come on, Leonard's not just gonna like jump on it that quickly. He's going to make her work for it just as much as she's gonna make him work for it.
He's still playing the game.
He is still playing the game. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, so for Kate, do you feel that she will take this as like rejection, or you think she's?
I don't know. She didn't.
Well, she didn't. A little bit.
I saw the crumble.
She did a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She crumbled. That's what we're gonna say. She crumbled.
Which
She
would
was
be
like,
normal, but I think she still has a little like, okay.
She's like,
at first you don't succeed, try again.
Yes.
Yes.
I can say yes.
She said, I did it. But I think what was so funny to me is when, poor thing, I don't even know his name, the one that tried to like toss her at the beginning of the episode, she kind of looked at Leonard, was like, you. No,
she did,
I'm good.
She did.
She did. And so I think that's why she may have said, no, because she's like, okay, let me entertain this real quick. But,
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like she was just letting her guard down a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially when Leonard asked her why she didn't take the date. Like, I don't know. I feel like he was trying to do something there, and she kind of like fell through the trap.
She did. She fell in it.
Yeah.
She did.
All that hypothetical. But if you were interested,
Right.
Exactly.
Hypothetically,
you handle?
You need to go out and I'm so mad with my notes because at one point where she kind of blushed, she turned away to blush. I don't know if it was around the I don't want to be caught.
Right.
Yeah, just like because she liked that. You know what I mean? Like everything that he was saying, but it was something about it since it wasn't directly coming from him.
Exactly.
I want to holler at you. Why aren't you wanting to be out, take me out, or go out with me, and things like that. So since it was kind of referring to the other guy, but she knew it was like indirect.
Exactly.
So you know what I mean. So she could kind of play it off and accept it, like, okay,
we see
maybe we could do this.
We see.
It was a hashtag test balloon.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Okay, I like that.
But I think that's super cute because, again, 4 episodes in, almost halfway through, we are seeing, things that you see in real life. Interpersonal relationships start to develop. People are cool. Seth Rosen, he's sitting in her chair. Like, just all these kind of environments that we learn. And we got to see, so with Allison and Sandra, we didn't see Sandra a lot, but we did learn about her through Allison, the whole hospital bit. And I was like, you wanted the dirt? You didn't get in the dirt.
And not only that, the whole mental health thing, when she was in the courtroom, she got a little emotional. There was something in her face. So she made some facial expressions that was like, okay, hospitals and mental health.
Okay, let's take
And I'm
note.
seeing Daddy. Like,
Daddy issues.
Yes.
Yes.
maybe not Daddy issues, but she was really, really close to her dad. Where is he now? Type of thing.
Okay.
Because she was really super into sports. This is the second time
Right.
she's brought it up.
That's a great observation.
So I mean, it is screaming. It means something about the man in her house.
I think it's gonna be very deep, and I hope they do it very well.
Yeah.
Because they're dropping these little gems to
Nuggets.
let us
Yeah.
know kind of. There's something deep within her past and her history.
Yes.
So when they reveal it, it better be.
It'll be good. Listen, y'all can't get over on us because we are analyzing.
Right. We are.
We take notes.
We're
we
picking
are
up
not
every
to be
hint.
played with.
Say it again. We are not to be played with.
At all. So I didn't mind seeing her less, because she's been in such the forefront.
Yeah.
I was happy to see Allison and Seth. I thought,
Yeah.
Did you think they were going to get back together for a hot second?
I will save that for predictions.
Okay.
But I do want to just point out for the record, last week I had mentioned that it was going to be a big episode for Seth, and he probably was going to need to lean on Allison. And lo and behold, he called her. I'm right. It was like, listen, you know me better than anyone. I really enjoyed. I feel like we got to see a different side of her.
I loved her in this episode. I said last week, I didn't really like her in last week's episode or last Tuesday. I really liked her in this episode because she is showing that I can take the back seat. I can let you be the king. I'll be the I'll step back and be still a queen,
Right.
but not a not such a powerful queen, overpowering queen.
That's
so.
perfect because she did change, I guess, the way that she would interact with him. We got to see her where she said, just as far as, I think he had asked her, like, oh, maybe we could be friends. And she was like, well, I'm trying to respect you and this individual. But she just had these tender moments, I felt like, and it made her feel more like three-dimensional.
Exactly.
Because we've seen her just be this brat or this, standout, or here I am. The world caters to me, like her brother said. So I was glad to see her broken down in that instance, and then in the hospital where she was kind of sticking up for Sandra. Like, she's not here because she doesn't do hospitals.
Right.
No, I get it. Nobody likes hospitals, but it's different. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's up?
Yeah.
Right. What do you need? Let's get it done. So that was good for her. And then last but not least, Seth Oliver. I don't know. I don't know if they should start. Like, since we the defense and they're prosecuting, like, how does this work here?
We do hold all the cards.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
So,
Just kidding.
well, listen, I felt that in a lot of ways I really liked the setup of this episode. In particular, they really took us through a journey with Seth. We got to see a few different quotable moments, from his mother saying, well, what kind of lawyer are you? To Roger saying, you look like Seth Oliver. To the homeboy, like
Todd.
Seth. Todd. Oh my gosh. We'll get to that as well. But to him, saying like, oh, he didn't want to hire you. You couldn't get a job. You have no future in this town. And then to the end of the episode where Roger's like, whoever you are, I prefer you to Seth Oliver. To him, when he really kind of asserted himself. So I really appreciated seeing them take us through like a character arc in one episode.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that Seth did really good work. So I don't understand why y'all.
I felt like he did good work. I don't know.
Yes,
Keyword good. But there's always something better than
Yeah,
good.
like
Okay.
his delivery wasn't powerful
Please
powerful to
explain.
me. It just didn't really grab me, and I'm sorry, but even in the preview, I was like, oh, okay, it's
No,
gonna be
you're
with
not
Seth
sorry.
episode. Okay, I'm not sorry. You're right.
Sorry,
I'm
not
just saying
sorry.
that, and just say I'm not sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, he just didn't really move me, and even like when it came to his closing arguments, it was very sweet. I think he did a good job with that. He was making the juror see, I forgot the little boy's
Carver.
name.
Oh, Theo.
Theo, yes.
Yeah.
To make them see him and the whole issue with the school and the pipeline and everything. Like the company is so wrong for what they're doing. So that was good, but he didn't really deliver enough emotion within that. Telling the story, made the point. But I just felt like with Jay, like when he delivered his monologue, his closing arguments, he delivered.
I think it was true to Seth's character type. I mean, he's dealt, even on this episode, he's dealing with so much humiliation and like the opinions of other people and being underestimated, and he really had to come in and stand up and present the case that he wanted. And so I think that for me it was, I didn't need him to just show like this brilliant display of like bravado. I don't think that was necessary. And I feel like looking forward, I wouldn't want to see every character have this moment where they're just this, you know what I mean? I do see what you're saying, because with Jay, I mean, I get it, but I'm not gonna let y'all sit up here.
It's interesting. Well, okay, I think it's interesting that what you said and then your response to that, because I do feel that Seth did show his emotion. He just showed it a different way. With Jay, you got that empowerment and the honesty and the acting in the courtroom. With Seth, I feel like you got that in just his basic facial expressions. For instance, when he was talking to Todd, both when they went out to lunch and then when Seth called him in. I think you do see it a little bit in the courtroom when Todd is, questioning their witnesses and Seth, stands up for his objections. Or when he honestly feels a little defeated in the courtroom because, the judge is like allowing all these things as far as like, the divorce and I think there was something else about sex. Yeah, things that really didn't relate to the actual case. And then I think you also see it when he's talking to the jury. And he's, it was obvious. I don't know if the jury didn't feel that obviously he was talking about himself. I don't know what he was talking about, but I feel like you do see his emotion. You just get it in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, but it was like I just still wasn't moved too much.
Yeah, you wanted to be moved more.
The one thing, because I kind of take a step back and look at it all. So the only reason why I agree is he showed so much passion in when he was talking to Roger Gunn, and about I'm gonna press charges. I'm in, like he was just so there, and then the courtroom was just dialed back, and it's like, okay, where is I know you're capable of it. This is your character. Why didn't that transcend into the courtroom? And so that's the only reason why.
You sound like Kate Littlejohn.
Right.
And I was going to say, Kate kind of helped him.
He did. She did. I literally thought about that scene when you said that.
Yeah. She definitely did.
Even then, because he was like, I'm not giving up.
Right.
And then he's like, well, never count the Harvard kid out.
Yeah, but I think that it's important to know that he didn't give up, like he said, and you can still maintain like that level of like awareness or like feelings or frustration, whatever you want to call it, and still present differently. And I felt the way that he presented, I mean, ultimately it was good because he won his case.
He won his case, yeah.
Shout out to Seth, he won.
Because, I mean,
redemption.
We didn't really know if he was going to, I knew they wouldn't just let him not, because that would have been horrible. How horrible would that have been?
Yeah, because last week I was like, I don't think that he's going to win. I was like, I don't think they're going to let him win.
Like, he's going to get his moment, but he's not going to win.
Not gonna win.
I want to say #skate just because I love my hashtags. I love that I'll hold a good chunk of what I have to say for predictions, but I love that they're yet again at it, at it again. So they're working together and all those good things. So it's pretty sweet.
Nice.
I don't know. I just feel like Seth is not one of those people who wears his emotions on his sleeve, where I feel like Jay does.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people want. And so Seth is giving us something different, and it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you
maybe that could be what it is. Yeah, it's like it's
Maybe.
different, and I'm just like, I want more.
Right.
Yeah.
But but like I said, he did his job. You know what I mean? He made the jury feel, that compassion, and to say like, that company is wrong. That man, was wrong. He knew what he was doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's guilty. Just as a viewer from a TV and like drama point of view, I'm just like, get him. But so but as far as like him doing his job, then I'll digress and I'll lean over to.
I mean, it's fair. Ultimately, to each his own. We're all gonna be connected to who we're connected to, and that's the beauty of television and inclusion and Shondaland. So we'll leave it there. Agree to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Okay, then that rounds out the episode breakdown. We can get ready to move forward. I do want to get into like the themes and discussion topics, but before we do,
good conversation here.
Yes.
Want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life? For those who do, we have got the podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition, is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more, let our Maria be your big sister you've always wanted. Just go on iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Again, for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was our For the People panel who sent you there. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. Check it out.
Yes. Y'all know I love me some podcasts.
Yes. That's so funny because I was looking at podcasts today and I thought of you and I was like, I should ask Keith what kind of podcast he listens to.
Yes. Listen to Conversations with Maria.
Yes.
You can also subscribe to For the People because it's listed in the podcast as well, like and all that jazz. And check us out.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm here for, so going from Conversations with Maria, it'd be nice for her to have this conversation with us because I think this week's episode, we did get to see some big kind of discussion pieces. And I feel like this one probably connected more with a lot of people than some of the first episodes. They were big cases, but I don't know if they were as impactful. So we'll go there in a second, but I do want to start off with, we got to see tonight. So there was one point where Roger was like, Seth was presenting about how he wanted to take on the case, and Roger was like, hey, I can't use resources to a case that I can't win. And that kind of struck a chord with me because we've been talking about the prosecution versus defense attorneys, and I think that's one of the elements that kind of makes these instances where we see justice kind of go by the wayside because, you know, of circumstances. It's about the numbers. It's about winning. And if I can't win this case, then I'm not going to take it on. So, you know, who knows what happens there. So I did want to see what you guys kind of thought about that, just looking at our criminal justice system and that being a factor that can determine whether or not, like, something is going to go the distance and really be tried.
I think it's sad, but at the same time, I don't really find that surprising.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the end of the day, everybody wants to win. I just think, you know, that the prosecution thinks about it as like, oh, I think they rationalize more. Like, oh, I'm not going to win it, I'm not going to take it. Whereas the defense goes in looking at a case saying, I'm going to make sure I win it.
Right.
And so,
That's a good point.
you know, it's sad to think that, like, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
I feel like at the same time you need to rationalize, but at the same time, like, who's to say that, like, this person deserves, you know, defense and this person doesn't.
Right.
So it's a sticky situation that I don't want to be in.
Sometimes it comes down to money in class, and then also sometimes with the prosecutor, it just comes down to, like, their ego or track record, or just kind of feeling like, like you said, like, they want to be able to win, and so if they don't, then, like, that doesn't look good for their numbers, unfortunately, you know, possibly with the new client, and then it's like, oh, but you only win, like, you know, less than half of your cases or something like that. So it's unfortunate.
It's scary too.
It is
scary.
You think about all of the cases that, you know, you hear so much about people who have been in jail and did no wrong, and then vice versa, they got away with because all the, I mean, like, it's, I think Reggae in his Twitter and the show said that they hold all the cards. I think that's so true, but it is, it's so scary.
It's scary.
And go ahead, Tori. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, also, it's their job. You know what I mean? Like, I think about even, like, doctors. Like, yeah, you're supposed to save lives. And, yeah, you know, lawyers are supposed to defend people. But at the same time, you want to get... That's what you do. Like, you want to do something that's going to give you the most money.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting kind of balancing act, I feel, on one hand, because part of it is, I think it comes down to, like, the humanity of it. With this, we saw he's going to fight for this because he's connected to it. So he had more of a reason to find a way to get people to buy into it. And then I was just thinking about, as far as prosecution goes, I remember years ago with did y'all watch The View? I used to listen. I used to love Star Jones. I was, like, mildly obsessed with her for a season of my life. You know, she was a lawyer, and I was just like, she's fabulous, and she does all this. But I've heard her talk about her experience in New York as a prosecutor, and she would say that, you know, her win rate was like 98%, which you think, wow, is astounding, and you think, you know, she's such, like, an advocate for justice. But on the other hand, you have to realize, well, hey, your rate is this because when the cases come across your desk, you're determining what elements to decide if I'm going to take this on because I can win it. Exactly. So it's just like,
and
it's
it makes you
sticky
think,
place.
I want to see the cases that you said no to.
Right.
And
how do they play out?
Exactly. Where are they now? Are those people in jail literally waiting for their trial?
Or even why they said no to them.
Right. And how many defense attorneys looked at those cases and was like, no, I'm going to take this.
It. Exactly.
You know?
It's and I'm sure they'll probably get tried, but just like we see with this cast and, you know, kind of the hierarchy there, it'll get passed down to, you know, if Kate don't want it, if Leonard don't want it, then somebody's going to have to do it. And will they win? Will they?
First year law student.
And then, you know, you get to see, like, people's lives are really in the hands of people. So it's just such a complex situations to be in, and even for prosecutors who have, like, this big caseload. So I just thought, That was really interesting. On a lighter note, though, we did with Seth and Allison. I want to go back to them because they did pose the question as, you know, maybe we could be friends. I'm thinking, first of all, who's working with their ex? Second, who's being friends with their ex?
Yeah.
Could you guys be friends?
Wait. So are you saying you don't have any exes that you're friends with?
Am I your friends? No. Acquaintance? Maybe. Do I talk to you? When's the last time I talked to you? Who knows?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay.
And especially right after the breakup, like, why are we being friends right now? We need our time and our space apart.
And I just always feel like, you know, people break up because one person never wants to break up.
Yeah.
So I can't be friends with you if I'm the person that doesn't want to break up, and then if I'm the person that do, I don't want to be friends with you either.
Right.
Well, you just want to be friends with them all together. Like, bye.
I don't know, but could you guys be friends? Or Tori, you sound like you're friends with an ex or two.
I was just about to say how many friends, like Keith over looking like
right.
Okay, so when I thought about it, I'm not. But I do feel like I have seen people who are. I feel like you can.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know Keith doesn't want to be, but
I feel like I've heard that there's a saying before, like, if you can be friends with your ex, like, you weren't really that in love, or like one person really wasn't that in love.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you be like real friends? How does that happen?
okay,
Like,
that makes sense. You know, we don't have to talk every day or even
like,
once a month.
we can be
but
cool.
like,
I have exes that I'm cool with. I'm cordial.
Yeah.
We may talk every now and then, but
Yeah.
we're not friends. There's not an issue that goes on and I'm picking up the phone calling them.
Like, hey, you know me better than anybody.
Yeah.
I need your help.
No.
I think
My exes have been
what?
replaced.
I haven't had that type, but I think I might. It depends on like how long you've been together.
Yeah.
And, like my husband, I mean, we were married, but I mean, we were together for 6 years before we got married. And so if for whatever reason something happened and we weren't, I mean, he's like 6 years, like almost 8 years. So I'm like, you know what? I think I could make it work.
Child, I'm going to tell you right now.
I will say.
I'd be like 6 years.
If I've invested all this time and you've done something wrong, but you can forget it.
Like, he's going to need to stay in the studio for, like, some therapy, like, just to, like, hash it all out with a friend. But I think it takes so much energy to avoid and to dislike. And
exactly.
If I have to use that much of my energy to prove to you that we can't do it, then I'm channeling too much energy, right? It's almost like it takes more energy being angry or being mean. Just be happy and move on.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I do that, then for some reason you're gonna think, well, why are you're so passionate about not liking me right now?
Right.
I don't want you to have any kind of inkling. So, you know, I'm gonna tell my current boyfriend about you and when we dated and all of that, just because when we're all together, that's one thing that my man has on the upper limb than you. But
exactly.
I went on a tangent, but you know.
It's okay. It's okay. I think it's a process, so you know, that's fine.
We'll talk about it.
I think
okay.
And I'm cool. Let me say y'all, because I'm sure you're watching it. I am fine. I feel indifferent about it. I don't feel no type of way. I'm happy.
Good deal.
Okay.
You know,
We just can't be friends.
But I just don't have a reason to be friends with
hashtag
you.
no friend.
But I do think that, like, in Seth and Allison's situation, like, they're in the same profession.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I could see how he would be like, you know me better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Obviously, out of all the people that they work with, she does.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And
It
you
makes
know
sense.
what? He said that, but the advice that he got from
Right.
Jasmine, like he said, like the advice that I got from her, like, that's why I'm sitting here. That's why I'm in this predicament. He had to get the help from Kate. So it's almost like, why bother? Again,
Maybe
why
I
bother?
don't need to be your friend.
but then that's on Seth. I feel
to a
like.
certain extent.
Because, okay, so he took her advice and it didn't work. But it was like, how well did you know her? Like, did you think does her advice usually work?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, sometimes you can go to somebody and know what advice they're going to give you.
Right, and that's
before
why
you
you
get
go
it.
into them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So it's kind of like one of those things. You go to them because you want to hear what you want to hear.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Got you.
Yeah.
More often
Yeah,
than not.
yeah.
But we'll see. I do hope, and like I said, we're almost at predictions, but I do hope that later we'll get to see that type of relationship with Jill and Roger. I am hoping that they were like married or like they were together, and because I think that's a good example of being in the same profession, being friends. You can go out for drinks and all of that.
I think when it comes to profession, it is a different,
right? It's a bit different than just regular life.
You have to coexist.
Exactly.
You just clocked in. You're here.
So we'll see. I think that'll be an ongoing theme. And then another theme that I really took notice of was the whole analog versus digital world. Like I've said before, I feel like our generation, we have the best experience because we're connected to both. Last week we saw it with the sentencing, situation, and then this week with the the will that assigns the judges. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think they're even doing with that on this show?
I think they're definitely how do you say there's this, like we talked about before, the millennials versus the traditionalists. I mean, it's that I think they're trying to please both parties, but maybe also let the people that are just all digital realize that, okay, there's another side of this. I think it's kind of all wrapping up, just like we're getting both sides of the attorneys, we're getting both sides. I think this whole show is something as simple as a wooden will. It's making us open to and understanding the other side of the situation, regardless of what that is. If it's politics, if it's law, if it is how you pick a name. I think it's doing a very good job at that. So
well said. Well said. I will take it. Okay, and then last but not least, before we move on, we do have to make mention because this was such a big resemblance to the Flint water crisis in this episode. So we did get to see that, and we know the Flint crisis was in 2014. There are still people who do not have clean water in 2018. So
isn't that crazy?
That in itself, I feel like is so crazy to think about. And after I watched the episode, I was like, let me check back in because where are we with Flint? Because it's something that just kind of goes under the radar, it feels like. I have found an article in the Washington Post that was done, an opinion piece done March the 7th. So,
very
just
recent.
very recent. And it was just saying how, this has become one of the worst public health crises in recent U.S. history. Over 12,000 children have been affected by it. There's like 12 officials in Michigan who have, been tried. So it's like an ongoing crisis that seems to have no resolve. And in connection to the episode, it kind of brought me back. Even with the previous cases, I think that may be a theme in itself as well. There's not really a resolution. We get presented with the fact, we get presented with a big courtroom, appeal to our emotions, and we walk away feeling empowered or good about it. But at the end of the day, one person was charged. Maybe he'll go to jail, maybe not. But where does that leave the crisis in Flint? And then even on this episode in his hometown, it doesn't change the poisoning or the impact of that experience. So
and the $50 million, he was saying, it's either jail time or like a $50 million fine or something. So just because my question, like I said, we were watching it today, that $50 million, you would think, like, where does that go?
Right.
Like,
Can we maybe use this?
Like, how does that fix this issue? Or does it go to government and then it just, you would think out of those officials that were tried, even in Flint, what are the fees? What are the fines?
It's crazy. I feel
could that go to the victims? I know they were already saying they were kind of not paying them out, but kind of covering the medical costs and things like that of some kids. But so if it was the fine, can that go to the victims?
Yeah.
Or like you're saying, does that go in the government's pocket?
What happens with it? We're just left with it. And I think the show does a good job of kind of exposing the systems or the world that we live in, because you just find that there are so many nuanced areas that we either don't know about or we don't know how to approach. Like, all I know is at this point, people are still sending money and sending bottled water to Flint. People are literally like brushing their teeth, taking baths, like washing their hair with bottled water in Flint, Michigan.
And it's almost sad, and I know we probably have to move on, but how many people are still even thinking about Flint?
Exactly.
And the fact that this show came on. And I hope, because we're using this platform, it's our job to mention things, hopefully that people can actually take away. So hopefully they think about this thing that we're talking about it. But how many people were even thinking about
beforehand?
it? Probably completely forgot, because it's not on our TV every single time that we change it, but these people are fighting this. Or
Exactly.
It's interesting that you brought that up because I can't remember if it was in this episode or if it was in Grey's Anatomy. But somebody said you don't realize the effect of something until it happens to you.
100%.
And so it's sad to think that like something tragic has to happen to us before we're like, oh, like we need to do something about this.
Right.
Like, why can't we just see that what's going on in Flint and, you know, our light bulb go off and be like, how can I help? Or what can we do so that this doesn't happen somewhere else?
Yeah.
Like, I think that just says a lot about our society and just our thought process as a whole.
Exactly.
We're very reactive instead of proactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, even today there was an earthquake in Channel Islands, not that far from here.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can think just that instant we could be completely left without nothing.
Right.
I mean, like,
Or like, I didn't even know that happened today. And
Yeah.
my dad called me from 20 hours away and said, are you okay? And
I
I'm
was,
like,
yeah.
I'm at the grocery store.
One of
Some
my
people
coworkers
felt
had
it,
called
some
me.
didn't.
I'm getting
Yeah.
I got a text message just like, did you feel the earthquake? I'm like, what are you I'm in the barbershop.
Right. And then when you don't feel it, you're just like, it was just an earthquake. Like, this happens all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
but no, it's
But it is
impactful.
that fear in the back of your mind that, you know,
what will
Yeah.
happen?
ooh,
Right.
yeah.
For
What
sure.
would you do?
Real big one.
Yeah.
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 Well, we'll get
So-
to that maybe next week. Let's move on because I do want to introduce. I didn't find any dirt,
Yes, we did.
so I didn't really find any news and gossip. But we do want to get into the set secrets. We kind of want to introduce that.
Yes, a new segment. So I don't know if, and please tweet me, holler at me, whatever, if I mispronounce your own. So disclaimer, is it Celia Finkelstein? I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
If you don't follow her on Twitter, please follow her on Twitter. She is hilarious. She posts these, she's one of the writers for the show.
Yeah.
But she posts set secrets, and I just want to share a couple of these. One, she said, Kate, and this is the first one that I'll read.
Of course.
Kate is my favorite character to write because I get to say all of the things I wish I could say to real people in real life.
Wow.
Of course.
Yes. Set secrets too. We like to name characters after our friends and then mock them.
Oh my God.
Is that hilarious?
That's good.
Oh my
Set
gosh.
secrets. Set secret, another one, Seth Oliver, Ben Rappaport. He did a wave in the episode, and she said he did this wave at least 47 times just for our amusement.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And I am going to share just a couple more. Set secrets. I sit under the table and tickle the actor's feet in interrogation scenes.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you know, some of the stuff might not be real, but it's hilarious.
That's
I
funny.
blame her now for Seth's reaction.
Exactly. Poor Seth can't even get a little tear because he's too worried about his feet.
Right, being tickled.
Right. And then I thought this was really cool. She said, set secrets. Jasmine does know all of Hamilton and will sing it and is amazing.
Wow.
So maybe next time, you know, if we have Jasmine on the show, we should make her sing.
Yes.
And last one was really cool. Set secrets. Sometimes in between takes, we watch old Soul Train episodes.
Wow.
Yes. Can I?
Oh my goodness.
I would not expect that at all.
Right.
Like,
Can we get the footage?
I want to be on their set.
Yes.
Totally random.
I could be an extra just to be like, hey.
Going through the Soul
Exactly.
Train line.
Through the Soul
Right.
Train line. I just want the footage. That's kind of cool.
I mean, we have a dance party every week at the top of the episode. I think we can pull it off.
we can handle it.
But I like that. I like the idea that we kind of get to go behind the scenes and get to know these little tidbits. That's super cute.
So we'll share
shout out
those
to
every
her.
week.
Yes, I like that a lot. Okay, so we only have a few minutes left. Without further ado, can we please jump into predictions?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
I'm gonna go last because my prediction was accurate last week, and I'm just hoping that
Lord.
I can keep
What the?
Here we go.
that I can keep that momentum.
You're like a 50% ratio, you know.
You
win
sound like
ratio.
prosecutor. Just a little bit.
Right? Well, did you guys walk away with any like nail over the head predictions?
Not really, but for me a little bit is with Kate and Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like,
Yes,
she was defeated a little bit, but like I said, I feel like she was like, okay, but I can come back. Like I feel like they know each other. So
Yeah.
she knew that wasn't a total shutdown. You know what I mean? Because even then when she left and he's like making that face and everything like that. So I feel like also, one, he may try to make her work for it, but I think he wants to take his power back and then him start to lead again. Because with a woman like Kate, it's not necessarily that like, oh, I don't want to go out with her. Like, with someone like that, and a man like Leonard, you have to keep the control.
Yeah.
So I don't think he could accept that date from her.
Exactly.
He kind of had to turn it down. So I think
And wait.
and wait. And so he's going to ask her out again. And hopefully she doesn't deny him again. So he's going to ask her out again.
We got a
That
little
would be
snippet.
interesting.
Just to say on your topic, this like episode preview of next week.
Yes.
I didn't watch the
My
preview yet.
app
Yes.
doesn't show me the preview.
I about to say I didn't
Tori,
see the
Tori,
preview.
can we talk about it?
We can talk about it.
Oh my gosh.
We can talk
Well,
about
I'm gonna
it.
let you take it.
I
Yeah.
think it might just be a little more than a date.
Yes, honey. You didn't see it either?
Yeah.
No.
The-
Now,
Wanted
I mean,
the dirt.
the moment
dirt.
that we have been waiting for. I was a little blunt last week, and I said, Kate getting late and all this stuff. So,
Yeah.
I was a little blunt. I'm not gonna apologize for it, but I was a little blunt. But this is the moment, like, since you guys haven't seen it, the preview for next week is Leonard and Kate are standing, and Leonard asks Kate, "Can this work? Can we work?" And they're like, literally almost nose to nose, and it's like heavy breathing, and I'm just like,
yes.
I'm sitting here, my mouth open like, oh.
I know.
Now.
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
You
Like,
did too. I didn't think it was gonna happen this soon, though.
Yeah,
I kind of
really?
wanted to see them like play it off a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Keith might
halfway
not
in?
be the only one who made a
be
prediction
right.
and it came true.
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking away
You know
from
what?
your
No, it was her prediction. It wasn't mine. I'm
All
just
right.
saying.
One of my predictions is weirdly Seth and Kate. Not necessarily. I don't know if Kate will go for it, but I feel like Seth is going to get feelings if they're not already there for Kate. I think he is appreciating that she listens to him, that she's powerful, she's very knowledgeable, and that she's breaking down that wall.
Okay.
So I think that'll be it.
Possible
That's
love
good.
triangle.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had
Wow.
Maya Martin in the chat, and she was saying earlier that she sees a possible love triangle between Kate, Leonard, but she was saying and the other lawyer he hooked up with. But I think it would make more sense if it was.
No, she's wrong.
Yeah, she's out for the count. Remember,
Oh, the
Leonard
chick.
had the
Oh, okay,
girl.
okay.
The one he
But-
stole the case from.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not thinking that there's gonna be a love triangle. But Tori, what's your prediction?
Okay, so I don't know if I really have predictions.
Okay.
But I would like to see Jill break. Like, I'm waiting for that moment because I feel like it is going to be so powerful. Probably one of the most powerful scenes we'll probably see
Yeah.
within this series, or at least this season of the series. And I think I'm also going to say I'm interested in seeing Sandra's story. But I do not want it all up front. Kind of like how we got with Jay a little bit. I need, like, I kind of want to put the pieces of the puzzle together myself.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what,
just
you would
because I
wait
feel
till,
like she's all over the place.
Okay.
Well, that's fair. I think that we will get to see Sandra have her moment. I don't think it'll be next episode since they showed the clip of Kate and
don't think
Leonard.
so.
Maybe it'll be more about Leonard. I'm still wanting to see his breakdown and resolve as well. I want to see Seth and Allison operate as friends, and then I am hoping to learn more about Jill and Roger, or even Roger having a moment as well.
Yeah.
So.
I think Jay, something very big is coming with the Jay.
Yeah, because he's been under the radar
Yeah.
a couple weeks now too.
I think maybe not now, maybe like 3 episodes or so from now, but I do see that.
Well, we'll see.
So maybe it has something to do with Jill because they had their little moment.
Right,
So.
right. Well, at the end of the day, we will be watching
Yes.
next Tuesday at 10 p.m. for the people. As always, you guys can check us out on Thursdays at 10 p.m. We're excited about the chat, the predictions, and some new segments.
Yeah.
That's our time. You can follow me everywhere at Keith_Andre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Tori_Broussard. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating as well on iTunes, I believe.
Yes.
On iTunes. And you guys can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at ElmarieTV.
And I am Takira Shabrae. You can find me on Instagram and newly to Twitter at Takira_Shabrae. And the comments on YouTube are bomb. I really like getting some comments when we're playing.
Yeah.
So hit us up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Come on YouTube and Twitter later, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.